When Wole Soyinka call Dati, say na fascist na it be, he come under fire with the obedience movement because they not take am likely with him at all. They tell him say that word was too extreme. According to Chimamanda Adichie, she can't talk say that word fascist supposed to be used for person like the INEC chairman and all the people where they do wuru for this our government, and not for Dati and the obedient. After that one, don't still bolofua. Wole Soyinka can still come out again. Can talk say, I can categorically say that Peter Obi came third in the 2023 election, not even second. And LP leaders know, hey, saying he come under fire like woto for every social media. In fact, LP come after him, Rufai come after him, Dr. Basi we be 7 who believe say go come after him, I go come after him. In fact, he don't turn himself to Oriang for him to just sit down, respect the old age, or probably they neutral when it comes to these political matters. No, he decide to speak against one. Like, for real, what did Peter Obi do you? I don't understand. It's a movement which is not directly only to Obi. There are other people that people are supporting and still using the obedient movement. I don't understand, though. I don't understand. Guy, I don't understand you. In fact, when they talk about confraternity, now you bring them into the university. And the effect of that has become a state issue, not worldwide. But now, one single man, one can correct something. You guys are firing him and even reminding him that he came out third in the election. Are you kidding me? Sure. It be like say they smell tribalism for here. Not long ago, with the years you see they talk, made they support Tinubu. Now you guys are coming to say Obi came out third. I don't understand you guys. Why you they add salt to injury? You know they enough say the tribunal not favor him. At least all the mago way they do was a continuation in the tribunal. But yet, you guys are not allowing the sleeping dog to lie. You guys are still after him. What he do now? What he do now? You guys are just pushing Obi and his followers to an extreme. Make them for protest. But it will never be. Not as you guys planned it. In fact, you guys came too late because nobody's protesting. Nobody's coming out to protest. We are more than that. Wanna go mark him, go choke now. This one when they go plant for TVC, make it go tossing be Bola Ahmed Tinubu classmate. Arise, don't give invitation or so make you come. Say they get questions for you. In fact, they say they're ready for you to take ask you question. Because the one thing una they fail to understand, if una they make una mago, if una they construct una lies, it's like you guys are backward in technology. You are backward in reasoning. All una lies no they come together. You guys just feel that you are talking to children. Anyways, congratulations to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because the only thing we be say don't do for 100 days for office now to remove and put. I tell pause. I beg you. Wasilario do. Mona carry on matter they go for one corner. Youthful street, no work, nothing. In fact, a lot of people are going through different things, depression, drug addiction, different things. For the youth, we want to be leaders of tomorrow. Their lives are wasting. And when I they talk say remove and put. Wole Soyinka no they see that one no say boys full streets they take different kind of drugs. No, you not see that one. You know they see what they happen to the music industry. How people don't take go into all kinds of addiction. No, you not see that one. You know they advise on how you go to empower the youth, may they become something for the society. No, now be matter na carry put for they talk say Obi did not win. He came out third. You guys are not okay. You guys should go and rethink and think about it deeply. What you'll be doing now. You guys should just come out and say this is what Obi did to me. And stop hiding under the arguments that Obi came out third. What a shame.
These recent elections. It's unfortunate that because the two things happened, first of all. One party took over the labor movement, which is one of my favorite movements also. And then it became a regional party, more than, whereas it was a marvelous breach into the established two camps. Peter Obi achieved something remarkable there, that he broke that mold. Yes. However, he did not win the election. In addition, my own organization has a monitoring unit. You know the one I'm talking about. And so I could say categorically that Peter Obi's party came third, not even second. And that the leadership knew it. Well, they wanted to do what we call in Yoruba, gbajue. That is, you know, you have force of arms. You also have force of lies. And it was gearing up towards violence. They were going to send, some of the hardliners were going to send crowds, young people, into the streets to demonstrate. I'm always ready to be among such demonstrators, but only on the banner of truth, not of lies, not of deceit.
Professor Soyinka isn't taking any prisoners there, is he?
Usually
What's your reaction to what he said?
Yeah, Charles, let's begin on a lighter note. I don't know if you are aware of this fable about a student who went to sit for a religious knowledge examination. And the question was about Jesus Christ. So he didn't know, he had no answer to the question. He said, look, who am I to speak about Jesus Christ? I would rather choose one of his disciples, to talk about. So maybe to talk about Wole Soyinka evokes a similar sentiment. I've had the occasion to speak with him at length, and the content is as follows. First, there are a number of assumptions that have to be made before we can say that the election was rigged or not rigged. First is the tradition. There is nothing in the tradition of elections in Nigeria that suggests that one party, usually the dominant party, will not rig the election. The same with the INEC. Right. So these are you have to say now, do away with, forget about saying Peter Obi, you first have to establish those facts. But if you take it as an option, you accept it. So where do we begin and where do we end? About when the elections were rigged or manipulated. Second is that there's an assumption, there's a distinction between Peter Obi couldn't have won the election and Peter Obi didn't win the election. There's a difference between that. We're in a scientific age. You know, about 6 or 7 public opinion polls predicated on science came to the conclusion, unbelievable to people, that this is the man who is going to win the election. I remember clearly the one by CNN that gave him 40% to 20, 25% about it. So look, when you look at all this evidence, you stack it against people who are saying that he didn't win the election. Trump must have his own reasons for coming to that conclusion. I know he's angry with us. I will still go and see him to convince him that we won the election when I see him. So these are things, when people say, what we know of INEC, right, is that it is not an agency of truth. Look, INEC went through its director of public affairs, the chairman, several occasions. How can they expect them not to use beavers, their own, innovation? How can anybody believe that will not? So on the day of the election, what happened? We are confronted with a glitch. As we speak, do you know that not all the election results have been posted? Right? And of course, you see, there are a number of things that, are bundled up with this election. Some of them, neither here nor there, the qualification or disqualification of the APC candidate. Now, there are about 10 grounds, right, that the petitioners filed on which the election of President Tinubu can be overturned, about 10. The judges found themselves in a situation in which you have to nullify all those grounds. Because if one of it stands, that is the end of the election. It is counterintuitive for 10 grounds of election petition to be dismissed like that. One of them, the judge said, intention. He said it was not the intention of the vice president to be nominated as running mate. So that is the argument against the fact that it was a double nomination. All right? Look, people who are familiar with law, like that, let's even accept that the question of motive comes in. That, okay, he didn't mean to do so. In the cases of murder, right, they can accept it. But what they then do is that they will reduce the penalty from murder in the first to manslaughter, right? My predecessor was also in a similar situation. The judge said, look, this man is innocent or unaware that things that he was doing was illegal, that he didn't know. So he reduced the sentence of the barrest, and gave him the option of fine, which he did. So from whichever angle you look at this, what we're talking about, and in Nigeria, look, you read where, according to your capacity, there is no Nigerian political actor, right, who has the capacity to influence or manipulate elections, right, that wouldn't do so. Right, but you see, the problem of Nigeria is a systemic crisis, right? You see, the presidency has become a monster, that has captured and destroyed almost any sense of nobility about succession, political succession in Nigeria. The fight to get to be the president takes no prisoners. Sorry, the president himself, when he was a candidate, gave voice to it, at the thing, what he said at Chatham House. Power is not served a la carte. You have to snatch it, grab it, and run away with it.
Right.
So let me finish.
All that hasn't got anything to do with
what?
What actually happens. For example, the judges who ostensibly remove sentiment from, I know, but remove sentiment from, the purely legal. You said that there's no way that 10 counts could be without merit in all circumstances. But let me leave that for example.
No, and I mentioned one. That they themselves, it's good to establish the fact. The judge said the only exculpation was that he said he doesn't have the intention to do so. If you commit murder today, you can be excluded by that precedent.
You made that point previously. So we all know, let's return to Professor Soyinka. I think it was Chimamanda Adichie who said that he's not usually given to restraint in his use of language, and perhaps that's where words like fascist and lies and deceit come from. But you said that you would go and see him again to convince him. Yeah. He's saying that he has an election monitoring organization.
Okay.
And that incontrovertibly, Peter became third, and that is commendable in the circumstances.
That would be the only monitor, the exception to the rule. That was contrary to what all the observer missions, the conclusion they reached. None of them went near saying that kind of categorical assertion. And I'm sure we didn't read about it. I didn't see it. It was not public. Did you see it?
You mean what was not public?
The evidence that Prof was relying on. Did you see it?
I didn't, but he says.
So that's what I can only comment what we saw.
Yeah.
From the EU, none of those observer missions, came near. Just suggests that somebody came first, somebody came second, somebody came third. No. I'm not saying that what they told Prof is wrong. It's possible that, but I can only deal with what you and I know. Right. I didn't even know that there was such another observer mission. The ones that we know, We've read their reports.
Well, he said he monitored the elections, and I mean, you know, people see him as a man of integrity,
Yes,
and
of
therefore
course.
they don't
Of course
doubt
he
what
is.
he's saying.
He is.
But I mean, do you think that many people still feel deeply cheated by INEC, or have people simply moved on, given the reality of a new president who's simply getting on with the job?
Well, you know, look, the only recourse we have by law is the court. The court will give you judgment, not necessarily justice. There's a difference between justice and judgment. So whatever the judgment is, we have really no choice other than to abide by it. I don't believe we got justice from the tribunal. I don't know, more in hope than expectation. I may rely on Supreme Court to do it, but that is more in hope than expectation.
Would it make a difference to you, the Labour Party, the P2B movement, if the Tinubu government came out and addressed the very palpable and tangible discontent that you believe is still being felt across the country? Would that provide an opportunity for some form of heroism on his part? I mean, would that satisfy you that he's making effort to try and reconcile the country and move the country forward?
You see, that would be a misunderstanding of the Nigerian problem. I'm not particular about him. I mean, the problem that we have, of which the election crisis is a manifestation, is not restricted, it's just a symbol of that problem. If you said Nigeria is a failed state, these are the implications. My whole approach to the Nigerian Malay is that it's a systemic crisis in which all organs of government are all implicated. You will find that kind of in the behavior of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. If Transparency International says Nigeria tops the chart of corruption worldwide, what is the meaning of that? What is the implication of that? The implication is that just about everybody, certainly the judiciary, is implicated in corruption. Now, that is that. Now, the husband of the president of the Court of Appeal, right? The last president of the Court of Appeal, her husband,
Senator Bolkachi,
you remember what he said? More or less said openly that he got his wife to manipulate elections in favor of his colleagues. Now, so if it's the president of the Court of Appeal was that implicated, what will you think of that judiciary? I've said this before. You see this unmerited righteous indignation. What we all knew at the level of theory, we were being told this is the reality. Even the president himself, he alluded to it. He said you don't expect your justices to live in squalor and not be corrupt. With an explanation. That is what he said. So, judiciary, this is not the only thing. Look, it's impossible. It's almost impossible to isolate any organ of government, judiciary, for remedial action. No. You cannot have a crooked executive parliament and have a saint and have a judiciary of whatever you want to call it. So this is what, and as I look, we started with the presidency. Right? The reason now, if you want to start somewhere to address the problem of Nigeria, you begin in that place. That place in the constitution, they are really, deep thinking and recommended for federalism, right? In which power is massively decentralized to the units, the regions at that time. So that you don't have this kind of lopsided, because in the first place, the adoption of federalism is, quote and unquote, referred to as tragedy or suboptimal. Right? It is in the recognition of all the difficulties that you have that you do so. Right? Ordinarily, you won't have it. But it's in recognition of those constraints, those difficulties that you have, that you then adopt it. Right? And when you adopt it, it is in anticipation of this kind of problem that if you over-centralize power at the center, it will be used as Buhari has used it to, right? And probably the next president. The chances that we will get a president who is truly a messiah, I mean, all the way, is you don't build science. Science does not, you don't predicate it on anticipation and hope, right? Science is that you add 2 + 2 and get 4. The constitution that we have today, what it has given us is expecting us to have, is telling us, is adding 2 + 2 and expect 5 to be the...
right, so in that regard, you include Peter Obi, potential president, in that group of people. I mean,
all Nigerians, see what we have today, right? I don't want to use the word restructuring because it's jaded, but that is actually what you need to look at. Look, when whoever becomes the president, look, let's even assume that you have somebody who is a man of integrity ready to do the crooked parliament, and others will not allow the president to do so.
So basically you're saying that there's nothing to hope for, really.
No,
I mean, even if Peter Obi was the president, there wouldn't be anything to
if we
look
remain
forward to.
the way as we are, right? Even if he becomes president, right?
Yeah, but you need, the whole idea was for someone who would bring in change.
Look, he can't.
And the promise of him was change.
Yes.
Right.
And I've just told you now how the kind of obstacles that will be erected in his path. Look, the National Assembly will have to approve or whatever, your appropriation or whatever it is. So they go and insert 70 billion naira, in a situation in which you are giving the whole country 550 billion. And the president finds himself under duress to sign it. You heard what the president of the Senate was saying, that he has given a token of 2 million naira each to the pigeonhole of all the senators.
Yeah, well, that's a fairly depressing sort of scenario that you painted there. And I'm wondering what, in that context, I'm wondering about things like the obedient movement and whether they're still, in the context of what you're saying, inspired by the rectitude and righteousness of their cause.
Yes, of course. I mean, for the sake of Nigeria, we don't have a choice. I don't know if you read this column today by Lady Bimbola Adelaku in Punch.
No,
That was what he said. He said, look, those of you who are irritated with the obedience, you need to know this, that in present-day Nigeria, that is the only group of people who can constitute an effective opposition, to the excesses of the administration that we have. Look, they call it state capture. State capture is when the few people they capture the state, and use it towards their end. And then, of course, opposition are decimated, through one way or the other, through corruption, through coercion, through, So that is why you have Nigeria today. Of course, judiciary being also one of them.
This is from Omar, who wrote, "No one can be seen to say categorically that someone didn't win an election if the person cannot show proof of what he asserts. It is on Prof to show us why his assertion is true. Was he in the 36 states monitoring the elections, or his agencies were, or a report affirmed so?" Well, Lawrence also wrote, "Why does Wole Soyinka feel so comfortable saying terrible things against Peter Obi? He claims Peter Obi was mobilizing youth for protest, while in truth, Peter Obi was the one telling the youth to keep away from protests. The youth are blaming Peter Obi for not allowing them protest. Wole Soyinka is saying Peter Obi was mobilizing the youth to protest." I mean, Lawrence's tweet was quite apt. We do know that Peter Obi has been telling everyone to stay calm until Judgment Day. Judgment Day has come and gone, and we have not seen any violence. So, I mean, it is quite worrisome to hear Professor Wole Soyinka make such assertions. Dr.
It's
Abati.
very straightforward.
Yeah.
The obedience,
Yes.
those characters on social media who give Peter Obi a bad name, they finally lost Professor Wole Soyinka. You recall that before now he had complained about this obedient, some people call them some other names, you know, operating on social media and forcing Peter Obi down everybody's throats. And he said, look, at that time, that Peter Obi was even his favorite candidate because he wanted change in Nigeria, and he thought somebody else, new blood, should provide the leadership. Many of the other people who in fact supported Peter Obi, they backed away from him because of the behavior of these characters, you know, who abuse everybody, who think their own version of the truth is the only version of reality. So that's the evidence you have seen there. And you could see Okendebe, the interviewer, you know, feeling, well, where is Prof going in this matter? Yeah. That's number one. The second part, of course, is that Professor Wole Soyinka is just expressing an opinion. His opinion does not matter in this matter. The Court of Appeal has ruled, right, the way the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal handled the matter. Mr. Peter Obi himself and the other petitioner, the People's Democratic Party and Atiku Abubakar, they have said they are going all the way to the Supreme Court. What the law provides for is that it is the apex court in presidential matters that will have the final say. And I think, you know, while it is normal, natural, for people to react to court rulings, in this particular matter, it is the Supreme Court that will tell us the truth of it. Yes, so Professor Soyinka is not in a position, because he's not a shamanist, he's not a futurologist. He once wrote a play called Requiem for Futurologists. So he himself cannot act as a futurologist in the matter. So we all should just calm down and wait for, you know, the Supreme Court. And when he says Bajue, deception, right? Well, there are some other commentators who will say Professor Soyinka is accusing Peter Obi and the Labour Party of Bajue of deception. But some people will say, in fact, the entire election was an act in Grant Bajue, a whole deceptive operation. You know, there are people who, even if you wake them up 10 years from now, they will still say 2023 general election was complete Bajue, quoting Professor Soyinka. So it's not just about Labour Party, you know, and it's on the basis of that we are saying that there are certain reforms that will still need to take place. There are certain consequential steps that will have to be taken by the National Assembly with regard to the electoral framework in Nigeria. So that phrase, Bajue, don't limit it to where Professor Soyinka has located it. Some people will tell you it's an entire Bajue that we are dealing with.
Yeah, well, it has gone to the Supreme Court, and we'll wait for the Supreme Court judgment. I mean, obviously, his statement has elicited a lot of reactions. Well, in the same vein, a public affairs analyst, Duro Jaye Ogunsoya, was trending on Wednesday after he stated during a live television interview that he was a classmate of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Chicago State University and graduated alongside the president from the Department of Accounting and Business Administration in 1979. Well, during the interview, Ogunsoya accused those disputing Tinubu's academic records of being mischievous because Tinubu was a governor for 8 years and would have had a university degree.
So we met in the school, Chicago State University, and we were in the same department, College of Accounting, Business and Administration, with major in accounting.
Yes.
With major in accounting. And we were in the same class together, and we graduated. He did attend the university, Chicago State University, and he graduated in 1979.
Okay, as you did.
As I did.
In 1979.
Yes, so I'm here to testify that he did attend the university and he was a good student. People were being mischievous in the first place because he was a governor for 8 years. Somebody who worked for Mobile for several years, and you're contesting that he didn't go to university. How is that possible? I cannot imagine how that is possible, that they are claiming that he didn't go to the... Sometimes the president might be embellished, sometimes, But that does not mean that he didn't attend university. He did attend university. He was a governor for 8 years.
Well, all right. I mean, I don't know if you need a university degree to be a governor, but certainly you do need one to, work at Mobile. So, I mean, Mr. Ogunsoya has definitely caused a lot of reactions as well. Let me take one from Leoma, who wrote, "It's been 23 years since Tinubu's Chicago qualifications were first challenged, and suddenly Duro Jaye Ogunsoya, a public affairs analyst with no digital footprint, suddenly remembers he attended school with Tinubu and used to mock his accent." Well, Nigeria is a funny place. Another Twitter user, Raymond, goes, "A simple Google search of Duro Jaye Ogunsoya shows that this man didn't exist till 2 days ago. No LinkedIn, Facebook, or even Chicago State University link outside his ambiguous claims. Do these clowns think this is the 1980s or 1990s? Information is everywhere and accessible." Well, Raymond, I mean, he may not have a LinkedIn of, a digital footprint, and not everybody does.
Let's say he's not digitally
But that
savvy.
actually was the rhetoric on social media,
Yes,
whether
I mean,
or not, where did he come from?
So, and it's quite curious, Audrey.
Yes.
That's the first thing that came to mind as well when I said, oh, finally someone has come out as a witness to give an interview to not just talk about the fact that they went to university together, but even give a character witness in terms of the kind of student that he was. Now, Mr. Duro Jaye Ogunsoya can come out as a student to say what he wants to say, but we can't take that as a certificate. We can't take that as records from the university. It's good to see, people, someone come out to testify that you and I were seatmates in university. But beyond that, people have made questions, and where are the pictures? Did they not take pictures in 1979? Do we not have records again? Why is Chicago State University, not being very forthcoming with regards to information? Yes, they've said, we had to go, Atiku Abubakar has gone to court to try and get them to release information with regards to the educational qualifications of President Bola Tinubu. But this has to go down as one of the most controversial in terms of the credentials of a president in Nigeria. I mean, we have cases like this often, but this is quite interesting. And I think just to put the matter to rest, certificate, show us evidence of the fact that you went to university. And by the way, the fact that you worked in a certain organization doesn't mean, I'm sure some people will know of Oluyole, where they have said, so it's not
Oluwole.
Well, that shows I don't patronize their services. Oluyole is about
where you print fake certificates.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that's not all these things. Just give us the real. That's what Nigerians just want to know the truth. Yes. And let me go to what Professor Soyinka said, because that's why I'm quite, as a young person in Nigeria, Professor Soyinka, as a citizen, is well within his rights to decide to choose or support a particular political party.
Yes.
However, I believe because of his status as a statesman, a lot of people would expect that he would be he will be non-partisan to at least a very large extent. I don't know what this obsession with Mr. Peter Obi and the Labour Party and the obedience is with Professor Wole Soyinka. What really occurred? Why is he so... Don't forget that there's a first runner-up in the person of Atiku Abubakar. They're not talking about him. He's the third place position who seems to go their ox such that their press statements, what is really going on? And so I just say that in terms of that, he has a right to his opinion. But I also think, lastly, it is unfair to paint the obedient movement, which has been praised in many ways for changing the political landscape of Nigeria in many ways, as being, just with really bad names, because in most movements, they're extremists. But you cannot base an entire movement on the extreme few and say that all of the obedience are extreme. I don't agree with that.
I know you wanted to make a comment on
I have a lot to say, Audrey, that time will not permit me.
Okay.
That's the problem with what's trending.
Hey, yeah.
Welcome back again. At first, let us start.
Okay.
I think, like Ayo said, it is wrong to paint the obedient movements. There are other people of a certain political party that harass people too. In fact, I had a taste of my own. It's just because I didn't take the case up. When people from this known political party harassed me in an elevator in Transcorp Hotel in Abuja.
Sorry about that, Rufai.
Yes, they harassed me in an elevator. So when people say all sorts about the obedient movement, and constantly, if you go check my social media, they are constantly casting aspersions and saying all sorts of stupid things. If it's not somebody I have a very strong mental strength,
You do, Rufai.
Yes.
You do. You're
Every single day I'm being abused. So when people say it's the obedient movement, we don't tell the truth in this country. And that's why the country...
a whole movement.
So that's why the country has become a grand scene of Badwe and GBT. And concerning what Professor, he has a right to say whatever he wants to say, but please, let's be balanced for the sake of God. The real Badwe in all of this election is INEC that promised something and didn't do it. Yeah. The INEC that told a lot of Nigerians to come out, that we have video footages of Mr. Festus Okoye constantly coming out to say these methods will be used, and nothing was done. That's the real Badwe in this. So let's call a spade a spade. All the problems we don't like to call a spade a spade.
All right.
Thirdly, because I'm here and we have to go because of time. Thirdly, as regards this Mr. Duro and this conundrum and everything, if you come out to say you went to school with somebody, you have to prove it. You came on air, there were no pictures. You came on air, there were no enough proof and everything. He has to be able to come to proof. And part of proving it also means subjecting himself to other media. So he should come to Arise probably 15 minutes.
We're waiting.
Let's interview him. Yeah. Let's ask him more questions and all of that. And I'm sure he also knows that there's a case currently going on in the court as regards, and let me go back to it, as regards a subpoena by Nauru Eba. That case has now come out to light again.
That petition that we are seeing
and that petition is out there, you know, because some characters said all sorts of lies and shenanigans. So, you see, let's just tell the truth. The truth will set all of us free. Right. The last time, 23 years ago, when this case came up, it was in the State House of Assembly that helped quell the tide of the case. Now it's back up again. Let's just full disclosure.
I just wanted to quickly clarify that petition that was up there. It was on September 8th, a response from CSU to article stating that, you know, Tinubu did attend the Chicago State University, as well as the fact that they cannot truly confirm the, originality of his certificate because they consider it as a, one of those, how do you call it, a praise certificate of some sort. So that was that petition up there.
Is that this matter of President Tinubu's academic qualification has been on the table for more than 20 years, since he was governor. Okay, why is it that when he was governor of Lagos State, nobody showed up? So this Duro Jaiye Ogunsoya, or what is his name?
Come to Arise, let us talk.
He was not around
come here.
over 20 years ago. And in any case, if you look at him, he looks quite younger than the president. So,
come to Arise,
maybe it's on the basis of that David Hundeyin is now saying that this witness, this character witness, this classmate witness, is fake. Because David Hundeyin has said that, I'm sure, it will be responded to by interested parties. Okay, when President Buhari was said not to have attended secondary school, he gathered his classmates. They took photographs with him in the villa. Why is this so difficult? When it was Dimeji Bankole's time, within a week, people were in NYSC camp with him. True pictures out. Okay, this one had to take up to 20 years.
23 years.
I think we have to do something about qualification. Right. Anybody that does not have a basic degree, and anybody whose classmates will show up after 20 years, or whose secondary school classmates will have to come to the villa to validate. Look, that's ridiculous, man. Right. In a country where some people have 3 master's degrees, double PhDs, why is it that it's the Division 2 people that will be Division 3 people that will be the ones saying they want to rule Nigeria?
All right, well said, guys. Let's end what's trending today. In a spirit of Throwback Thursday, with this video of a South African politician and activist, Mbuseyi Ngozi, who during a rowdy debate on former President Jacob Zuma's impeachment back in 2016 accused the former International Relations Minister Maite Mashabane of sleeping on the job. Well, let's take a look before we come back for a discussion.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
I'm worried that this minister that we pay so much, Minister Maite Mashabane, she's sleeping in Parliament, and with that position, she's going to fall. And the minister would have fought. She's still sleeping.
Honorable member.
She's still, I don't know. What's happening?
That's not a point of order. Take your seat.
No. The minister is sleeping. You can't say that's not a point of order.
No, Josie,
are you condoning people sleeping now?
Josie,
we must come to sleep here in Parliament.
Honorable Self, proceed.
We pay you. Don't sleep here. We're busy debating. You are sleeping. You are a sleepist. You think we're sleepist
Take your
here?
seat. Honorable Minister, why are you rising?
No, I want to understand what this young boy is talking to.
No, Honorable Minister, that's not a point of order.
I want to respond to this young man.
No, take your seat. Honorable Minister, you can't
Minister, you must sleep and we must keep quiet. No.
Honorable member.
Decency to admit when you are wrong. You are sleeping.
Honorable Minister.
You are sleeping on duty.
Honorable members.
You are sleeping on duty.
Well, this is a big problem. Sleeping on duty. I mean, I never heard the word sleepist, but that was quite funny.
Okay, I know
Hold on. Let's take another throwback video, though, with a similar conversation, but this time in Nigeria. And it was during the just concluded Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, where lawyers and petitioners turned the courtroom into a sleeping maison on September 6th. Let's take a look.
In the earlier part, this court has consolidated with the 5 paragraph 50, the first schedule to the Electoral Act. This ground was taken to the complete. Order striking out paragraphs 5 Roman 1 to 9, 15 Roman 1 to 7, 16 Roman 1 to 7, 17 Roman 1 to 7, 18 Roman 1.
That the second respondent did not conduct any fresh primary election for the purpose of picking another running mate for the third respondent after the withdrawal of the fifth respondent. Therefore, in my view, the requirement to conduct a fresh primary election does not apply to the nomination of the vice presidential candidate. That's my Lord of DJSC. I left it at this point in one as follows.
Well, these are all sleepists. Rufai, I'm sorry. It was trending. I was nowhere I could not do this. You have too much violence. No, absolutely not. But I mean, sleeping on the job is a big problem. Dr. Abati, we don't have any time, but we have to go.
And we advise that maybe, the managers of the Supreme Court should watch out for Sese Fly invading the premises of the Supreme Court so that people don't just go there and sleep. But you saw the sleeping patterns, the creativity that people brought to sleeping at the Supreme Court.
Citizens United for Democracy in Nigeria condemns the judicial sabotage of Plateau State's Election Petition Tribunal. We, as a leading pro-democracy organization in Nigeria, strongly the National Assembly in Plateau State on the 25th February 2023. The unjust verdict, tainted by grave level of corruption, underscores a disheartening setback for transparency, justice, and democracy in Nigeria. The Election Petition Tribunal primary responsibility is to ensure fair and impartial adjudication in electoral disputes. Regrettably, this sacred duty to uphold the sanity of democratic process has been compromised by the rampant influence of corruption and vested interests, as clearly manifested by the way and manner the National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Jos have urging the duly elected members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Citizens United for Democracy in Nigeria has meticulously analyzed the proceedings of the Election Petition Tribunal and discovered an alarming series of irregularities, casting serious doubts on the integrity and impartiality of the judgment. Our investigation revealed clear indication of political interference and hidden agendas leading to compromised decision where the same tribunal is giving contradictory judgment on the same issue. Democratic principles form the cornerstone of a progressive society, empowering citizens to choose their leaders freely and fairly. Nigeria, as a vibrant and dynamic nation, must embrace the principles of transparency and accountability to cultivate an environment where citizen voices and values are respected. We call upon the National Judicial Council and other anti-graft agencies to take immediate action and investigate this corrupt judgment thoroughly. The integrity of the judiciary must be safeguarded, and all those involved in silent judgment, whether the judges, lawyers, or political actors, must face severe consequences for subverting the democratic process. The People Democratic Party conducted its primary election in line with the provision of the Electoral Act 2022, which the delegate system was duly followed. The inconsequential issue of qualification that the judge, Honorable Justice M.B. Tuku, is leveraging has been settled up to the Supreme Court. Where did he get the audacity from to subvert the will of the Plateau people on the ground of a settled court case since 2021? It is rather unfortunate that even the PDP complied with the Honorable Justice Samson Gang and Justice Ishaku Kunda judgment and reconducted fresh Congress in September 2021. The corrupt judges turned blind eyes on this fact and hacked our electoral members and a senator with a sentimental judgment. Besides, in Augustine Timuku versus Joseph Langi early this year, the federal High Court sitting in Jos held that the PDP complied with the Justice Gang judgment as delivered by Honorable Justice D.V. Agishi, validating the state executive of the party as duly elected. The same judgment was also and mostly affirmed by the Court of Appeal in Jos in favor of the PDP by Honorable Justice T.Y. Hassan, Honorable Justice A.I.A. Adengutu, and Honorable O. Ogulog on the 11th of February 2023. The implication of this judgment is that PDP has a valid and solid structure through which our mandate was given, and we are optimistic that the appeal court will reverse the judgment of the tribunal. More so, despite the evidence tendered before the tribunal by the INEC and PDP on the repeat Congress conducted on the 25th December 2021 as a result of the court's ruling, the tribunal went ahead to declare that Senator Napoleon Bali, Honorable Bani La, and Honorable Musa Bagos and Honorable Peter Genyan have been disqualified on the ground of the so-called structural issues. We want to know under which provision of the Constitution and the Electoral Act 2022, which mandates APC to challenge the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Furthermore, we urge Nigerian citizens, civil society organizations, and international entities to join forces and stand up against corruption and demand justice for the Nigerian people. Only by reinforcing the rule of law and ensuring transparent and fair electoral process can Nigerian democracy truly survive.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.